What a treat to get to be here with all of you. What a dream to get to be here with you.
Oh,
We'll get into why in a minute. She needs no
you.
introduction, right? But this is Kim Kardashian, the founder of Skims, which is, I should note, one of this year's Time 100 most influential companies. She's also a mom of 4.
Yep.
The hardest job, I only have 2, so yours is double as hard, but also the most meaningful job.
Absolutely.
That's 100%. Kim, thank you for joining us.
Of course. Thank you.
So one of the things, let's start on business, and one of the things that I think is so remarkable about Skims is it $3.2 billion company, 4 years old. What you've done in terms of your business success has been especially accelerated in just the past few years. And in that same time frame, you've said, I've chosen myself. And I kept thinking about that. What does that mean, and how do you think it correlates to all of this success right now?
I remember that interview that I did, and I said I chose myself because I chose to put myself first for once and just choose my happiness. And I felt like I was putting so many other people and their happiness in front of my own, and it just dawned on me, like, why am I so concerned to make everyone else happy and not myself? And when you just choose to do that, it doesn't mean that you disregard everyone else and their feelings, but it means that you just, for once, at least in my life, I have so many family members, so many kids, there's just a lot of people around that I like to make happy.
There's a lot of a lot.
Yeah, and when you choose to do that, it just kind of reshifted my perspective and allowed me to just focus on me, my babies, my business, and what really makes me happy.
So with Skims, a lot of people thought this industry is done, we know what works, it's hard to break into. You were, as I understand it, dyeing your own shapewear in the, is this true?
Yes.
In the sink with tea bags.
Yeah.
And then you said, let's just do this.
Yeah.
Let's just make it. Why do you think, because you've said this is the most confident that I've been in any project.
Yeah.
Why did this work?
I think because it was filling the gap of something that didn't exist in the marketplace. For me, I was just looking for a solution to the fact that I love to wear shapewear, and there wasn't a color tone that fit my skin tone, let alone most of my friends. And there was either a super light nude, which was a more pale color, and then the color black.
Yeah.
There was really nothing in between.
That's right.
And so I would take coffee in tea bags, and I'd put them in the sink or the bathtub and put my shapewear in there.
I would pay to see this, by the way.
I actually, the other day, found, and I would cut them all up because they're either,
too long.
Yeah,
Yep.
just the cuts weren't right. And I found all of my original ones. I always kept them. And it was just so funny to look back and see, what I would try to do. And because it didn't exist, I wanted to create that and find better materials, better colors, and we launched with a pretty wide arrangement of nude tones, and we grew from there.
You also have a more recent venture in Sky Partners, co-founding a private equity firm. I was thinking a lot about sort of how you do business and observing it from the outside. Do you trust your gut?
Absolutely.
Over the data? Over what other people say, Kim, you should do this? We should do this?
Absolutely. And I like to be in business. I think there's two things. I like to do things that I will feel very confident in, that I obviously feel like I know what I'm doing. I want to learn and surround myself with people that will support you in a way where you trust them so much in the area that they're going to run the business in, and you give them that control, and they trust you in the area that you really know. And the businesses that I have now have a complete equal respect and trust in each other to run and do our thing. And it could be, okay, you handle the employees and the way the business is run in distribution, and I will handle marketing, campaigns, fabrics, fits. And if you just trust each other like that, it absolutely can be magic.
Equal respect and trust.
Yes. And I do have, I think as you get a little bit older and you learn a lot along the way, I think one of the most important things, and there was a time when I didn't have this luxury of choosing who I was in business with.
Yep.
But if you're at a place and you take your time, you realize that you absolutely do not want to be in business with people you don't want to spend holidays with and that you don't like.
Isn't that the truth?
Sounds really simple, but I didn't have that opportunity for so much of my career of choosing who I really wanted to be in business with or what deals I did or having the opportunity to really get to know them. And I just find that to be, again, that goes back to the respect and the trust.
Yep. So your dad, you've said that a lot of your work ethic, because I've heard you only sleep about 5.5 hours a night, if that. A lot of it a lot of it comes from your dad. And you lost him when you were 22.
Yes.
He died from cancer, just two-month battle with cancer. He was a lawyer, and your dream was to follow in his footsteps. We were talking about this backstage. My dad, too, lawyer, died when I was young, 4 months in the hospital. So I understand that and wanting to make them so proud. Is his memory and what he wanted for you and what you learned from him a driving force now in your criminal justice work?
Absolutely. But I know that he would probably get such a kick out of this because he wouldn't have expected it at all. We talked so much about me going to law school, and he always said he would help give us an allowance if we stayed in school. And I couldn't do it. I was like, I'm on my own. I don't care. I'm not going to go to, I didn't finish school. And then now that the opportunity came about all these years later, it's so much more meaningful to me. I was telling you earlier, I'm like, my retention might not be there as
I think it's there.
as if I was in my 20s when we would go to college, but I live it every single day, and everything that I'm learning, I can apply it, and I'm just so grateful for the experience.
Didn't he tell you not to be a lawyer?
He did. He did. He did say
he's going to be a lawyer.
He did warn me how stressful it is and said, I know you. You're not going to want to go through this, so figure out something else to do. But I will say, I did learn my work ethic from my dad.
Yeah.
But I learned so much more from my mom than I ever give her credit for. And
So give Chris credit right now.
Yes. I don't know, is it a thing, like you kind of give, this is like, I'm not even trying to be funny, but you kind of give the dead parent a lot of credit,
It's so true. My mom said the same thing to me. We did this video for CNN all about my dad, and she's like, I love it, Poppy, but,
Yeah.
I was there too.
Still here.
I was there too.
What about me? Yeah.
I get it.
I'm sorry, Mom. If you watch this, I feel like we've always given my dad so much credit.
What did she teach you?
Well deserving. But the one thing is she taught us how to have a home, how to make a home. And all of she's the most nostalgic, sentimental person. So she kept everything from when we were growing up. I could find a tooth, I could find locks of hair, she has these chests that she saved for us with baby books. And so I do that with all of my kids. And I write each one of my kids a letter, like a 4 or 5 page letter every year on their birthday that I'll give them when they're 21. And about what we did through the whole year and what their favorite shows are and what they like to eat and who their friends are.
You do this for every child? I definitely feel like I'm underperforming in the parenting department.
Yeah.
Next year.
It's a lot.
We'll do it.
It's a lot. So she taught us how to be really good moms.
How to make a home. I love being a homemaker, and I love working, and I don't know often that we talk about both, so I'm really glad that you said that. So let's dig into your criminal justice work. We will all remember when you did so much work for months and months behind the scenes, but then we all saw you at the White House and the photo with President Trump and securing the release of Alice Marie Johnson 5 years ago, serving a life sentence in prison for a nonviolent drug offense.
I can't believe that was 5 years ago.
Almost exactly 5 years ago.
In June.
Did that change the entire trajectory of your life?
Absolutely. It just changed I had no connection to the justice system. I didn't know anyone that had really spent time. I mean, maybe a friend of my dad's, and he worked on the case, and I was able to experience the trial. But as far as like a close friend of mine or someone that I knew, a family member, I never experienced it. So as I got to figure out how to help someone and how to make a difference and get them out, I was just genuinely naive to all of the issues with our system. And then I got a little bit overwhelmed because there's bail reform issues. I mean, there's so many things wrong with our system. And, but once I saw that I was able to make a difference, I couldn't stop there. And I realized there were so many other people like
thousands
the
right
woman,
now.
That I helped.
You've talked about your experience with Alice, saying that you were meant to be on this journey together. You're pretty close to becoming a lawyer. How close?
I'm probably going to take the bar February 25.
You passed the baby bar, which is harder?
Yeah, so the baby bar has like a 16% pass rate.
Wow.
I mean, it took me a few tries, you know.
Okay, you did it.
And then I have another one, I think it's like a 36% pass rate, so.
You got this.
I hope so.
About a year?
Yeah, about a year.
You just went to prison, California, about a week ago. And you've said, I have to help as many people as I can. These people are thrown away and put in prison, and no one cares. It struck me thinking about our conversation this morning that you are always in the spotlight. And yet you care most about people who are never in the spotlight. You care most about people that we as a society have thrown away. And I wonder why that is.
I think experience, maybe just life experiences, positive, negative, becoming a mom, life changes you. I think you get to a point where you have experiences that just change you. And when I met Alice, and I felt like it was a fairly easy experience for me, when I know it shouldn't be, to help get someone out. It takes 10, 20 years to do what I did in 6 months. And I didn't realize the fight at that time. Mm-hmm. To me, that was a few phone calls. And that really struck me that, however it was done, it was done. Mm-hmm. I'm so grateful. But that process has to change.
I think you're selling yourself short, though, because Van Jones, one of your biggest cheerleaders, a good friend of ours at CNN, told me this about you. There is nobody like Kim. She is in a category of her own. She takes every case so seriously. She'll have read the file with more care than the attorneys. She will know the case backwards and forwards in every meeting. Do you think this will be your life's most meaningful work ahead?
I hope so. I always joke with my mom, who's my manager. I say, Kim K is retiring, and I'm just going to be an attorney.
Kim Esquire.
Yes. So I was like, so you can go help my siblings. So.
Are you?
So you can still
Is
have
she
a
like,
job.
what about my 10%?
Yes. So I'm giving her the heads up.
Would you ever consider a life without the cameras?
Yeah, absolutely. I do feel like I have there's a lot that's always on TV and a lot that's always out there, but I think my friends and my family know we really cherish a lot of our private times, and I would be just as happy being an attorney full-time and doing that. The journey just really opened up my eyes to so much that it gets overwhelming because there's so much to be done. And I just, I brought my sister Chloe to a prison for the first time last week, and that was really eye-opening for her. And I just, I would totally spend more time doing that. Cameras, no cameras.
I don't think, we know your success stories with Alice Marie Johnson, for example. But what not everyone knows is that you've also had efforts where you haven't been able to help that person get off death row. You were the last phone call for one inmate who was being executed. I mean, I remember seeing you in tears, so shaken because of that. What is that like to feel when you can put all your weight behind something and you still lose them?
It's such an, I don't even know the word for it, but it's just, it's like a really emotional experience. I have a girlfriend, Lala, who works in prisons, and cases that she was trying to help with didn't go her way, and she would come out and in tears and, just trying to explain how to like not emotionally be so overtaken by it. But imagine someone being executed that you've spent months on the phone with, all the time, video calls. You hear their story, or a lot of time you don't hear their story, and you just see what they did. And of course you would be judgmental. I was so judgmental at the beginning of my journey.
You were.
And I was like, okay, nonviolent,
That's
maybe
it.
drug offenses, I can do that. Anything with violence, I just can't ever support that. Until I started to go to prisons and sit down with these men and women and hear their stories and the awful things that have happened to them, even in those moments that you feel like the most rational charge should be self-defense. And it's just not that easy, and it wasn't like that. And you just start to really have empathy and compassion for these people. And so with that Brandon Bernard case that you're speaking of, who he was executed, it was really important for him to allow me to tell his story. And I think that my role in all of this is to storytell and to explain people's stories and their histories. And I really think people would understand. And, President Trump did understand once he started to hear these stories instead of just seeing their cases. And he went in being so pro-death penalty and really hard on crime, to opening up his heart and realizing that so many people are inside that don't deserve to be and have completely rehabilitated themselves. And he passed a bill, the First Step Act, and I think almost 30,000 people have been let out because of the storytelling of one woman that changed his mind. So I think storytelling, and I think that's what my role is to like really explain what people have been through to hopefully change the bigger picture.
Have you talked to President Biden about this?
We have reached out. He has not done any commutations. There's actually, Van and I were talking about a situation of a guy who got out, and they're actually trying to put them back in. So,
Fair to say you'd like a meeting in the Oval Office?
I would love one. I would love one.
Well, he's running again,
Yes.
if you haven't heard,
I
announced
heard.
this morning.
I heard.
To the victims' families, there are victims' families who say, no, they don't support the work you're doing. What do you say to them?
I completely understand that as well. And my empathy and belief in rehabilitation doesn't take away my compassion for what they've gone through as a family. And I do want, and the people that I'm helping feel the same exact way. And we've had conversations about that. So I completely understand when someone reaches out, because the families do reach out sometimes. And I completely empathize with them as well. So they're not wrong, and that everyone has their own journey. And I think I just have to focus on what I think is the right thing, and I will always believe that people are deserving of second chances.
Human rights attorney Jessica Jackson, who you've been apprenticing for and helping you on this journey, calls you a triple threat. She says she gets the comms and the You haven't heard this?
No.
She gets the comms and the marketing, she gets the legal issues, she gets the human issues of each case she gets involved in. When you're a lawyer in a year, you're going to be a triple threat?
I hope so, you know? I just want to like keep my head down, get as much work done as possible, get as many people out as possible. And it's more like, I also think that people assume that if you're working on cases, that you don't really believe in like any type of punishment and you're not hard on crime. And that's really not the case either. You know, I think that there are a lot of people that are deserving to be there and need, but there's also, I believe that there just needs to be a completely different system.
Before we wrap up, I do want to ask you about a case going on right now that we've followed very closely at CNN that my colleague Bryn Gingras has followed, and I saw you tweeted about it yesterday. This is the case out of Oklahoma of Richard Glossip.
Yes.
And you tweeted yesterday asking for the pardon board to grant him clemency. He will be executed if nothing changes May 18th. And you tweeted, "We cannot execute another man, especially for a crime he didn't commit." Why do you believe he deserves a full pardon? He has a hearing tomorrow.
Yeah, his hearing's tomorrow. You know, I think that there was hardly any evidence that linked him, if none, you know, to his case. And I think that I personally don't believe in the death penalty. And I think that everyone deserves at least to have their case fully examined before they're about to be executed. It's just really that simple. And I just don't feel like he's gotten a fair chance.
The Attorney General, by the way, in the state said as much, and that he should get a new trial. The appeals court denied that. So I see the clock, it says 0. We're out of time. We're gonna, let's end where we started, and that is choosing yourself. You have said, my 40s are about being team me. Me too.
40s are the best.
So far, so good. I've got almost a year in the books. I agree. Any advice for folks on team me?
Just, oh my God, I have so much advice and I'm blanking. I mean, I think it's just really simple. Like, I live my life just trying to be a good person, do right by other people, you know, be kind to everyone and focus on yourself. Sometimes you need to give yourself a little bit more love. Sometimes other people need a little bit more love, and there's just enough to go around.
You're giving it to a lot of people. I admire you a lot. I think all of us do. Kim, thanks very, very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Of course. Thank you for that.